Despite the multitude of makeup tutorials I have made, people still tell me, Aubrey, I have no idea how to do makeup. I just wondered to myself, like, have my children learned nothing? So today I'm going to be doing a very in-depth makeup tutorial of how to look incredible, because that's what I do best. So strap in, because you don't get tutorials like this often anymore. So ground rules for this tutorial. I'm going to try and keep this tutorial as easy and minimalist as possible. I will put the products that I used in the description, but I mainly like to focus my tutorials on techniques rather than telling my followers to just go and buy a bunch of stuff, because I do believe that you can achieve these kinds of looks with stuff that you already have. And again, I just don't like to promote, you know, overconsumption, because then everyone just feels like they need to go and buy stuff or their makeup's not going to turn out the same. Meanwhile, the majority of the time it is just it is really just techniques and the practice you put into makeup. But obviously there will be some stuff that are kind of non-negotiables in this kind of makeup, so that is just a disclaimer before we begin. And I'm just starting off with some simple base prep. I'm going in with a moisturizer, a serum, and a spray. I love to use the Purito Sol Moisturizer. I think because this is such a nice gel-based cream, this works for oily skin, dry skin, it works for any skin type, so I think this is a really good base before makeup. Now I'm going in with an essence or a serum. I like to use this Numbuzin Biodance Essence. I think it's really nice. I think it creates like a tacky base. As you can see, it's got that stringy consistency to it. So it just creates like a really nice hydrated base, but it's up to you what you want to use. It's just, I like to make sure that my base is really hydrated and prepped before I put makeup on. Even if you're someone with oily skin, I think you should really prioritize your skin prep. So just put that on. Don't need too much because you don't want your makeup to pile up, and we are also going to use primer. In with my Abib Rose Mist Serum Spray just to add a bit of extra hydration. I do think that a good hydrating facial spray is a really good addition to anyone's makeup kit, because it just gives something a little bit extra, and you can typically use these on top of makeup if you're someone who prefers a little bit more of a dewy base. But now we are going to go in with a primer. I personally like a grippy primer. I don't like silicone based primers on myself because I'm not too oily, and I feel like when I don't use this, my makeup does kind of slip around, but I always buy the cheapest one, and this one by W7 is only about £3 or £4 in Superdrug. So I think it's a really good addition. You don't need too much, about one pump, another pump, and then one more just to distribute onto the nose, upper lip, and the chin. Just for reference, this is how the skin looks after the prep, and now we are ready for foundation and the rest of the makeup. So before we start foundation, always put your contact lenses in. I'm going in with these ones from Moody Lenses. These contact lenses are really cool because they have a technology that involves keeping the highlight, the color at the bottom of the eyes without them spinning and rotating around. I think these are really cool, and I'm going to do it off camera because some people can be a little bit squirmish about, you know, eye touching. So there is the eye lens. A lot of people ask me if contact lenses are necessary for a look, and I would say that they are, because when I first started getting into Korean and Chinese makeup, I was wondering why my looks weren't looking very cohesive, and honestly, once I started wearing lenses, I never went back. It gives you a crazy upgrade to your makeup. Now, one of my favorite methods for layering makeup is to layer your setting spray in between steps so that it seals and locks in. I'm pretty sure you could do this with a fixing spray, but again, I like to keep how many products I use to a minimum, so I'm going to use a setting spray. Next, I'm going in with the Unleashia cushion. I'm using shades 16 and 14N mixed because unfortunately I didn't get a very good shade match. Once again, to keep this minimal, I'm just going to say put it on the back of your hand and mix it until you can feel the product warm up, and then take your finger and just lightly spread it across your face to kind of mimic the same kind of effect that you would get if you were to use a spatula. Start from the middle of your face with your finger and bring it outwards towards the perimeter of your face, and kind of bring it downwards until you reach your chin. Going with the other side, start like that and move out and blend it downwards. When I put foundation on my forehead, I don't like to put a lot. My forehead and my T-zone are the oiliest parts of my face, so I don't really like to put too much on there, and I kind of like to use the natural hyperpigmentation on my forehead to kind of work as a natural contour. I don't know, I feel like my makeup can just get really cakey on the forehead, so as you can see, I've put quite a decent amount on my face and not too much on the forehead, and you'll see why. Now I've given my foundation a bit of time to settle down, and I'm going to go in with, oh gosh, sorry, I don't know what that was. I'm going to go in with another layer of setting spray on the top, and then take a sponge. I like to use these little puffs, but you can go in with a beauty sponge or whatever else you want, and just start to blend in the foundation. As you can see, it's already got a really nice radiance to it just from all of that nice base prep, and this is going to sit really nicely on your skin. And see how even though it's dried down, it's, I don't know, I think that builds up the coverage a little bit because it's already kind of cemented onto your face a bit. And now you can just blend and kind of fuse together onto your face. See how already we've literally blended that in so quick. I love these little puffs. I also feel like it keeps your hands quite clean because the product isn't touching your skin like it would on a beauty blender. But again, I don't like to encourage people to go and buy loads of stuff, so we are keeping this very minimal. Although you can find puffs like these very cheap on yesstyle, AliExpress, even in shops like Pure Soul. It's just up to you. Now our foundation is blended and it looks absolutely incredible. I do love the Unleashia foundation. I just wish that I'd got it in my shade because I don't think it's very practical bringing around two foundations for travel. Now you want to take a concealer. I like to take a concealer that's medium coverage, but that's quite hydrating. And I like to just put a little bit on here. I don't like to put too much makeup. I get asked a lot how to avoid creases and wrinkles, and the correct answer is you can't, because that's not possible. And anyone who tries to tell you that is lying. But the one thing I can recommend is just to put less product around those areas. So as you can see, I get little creases here, and I have a very prominent smile line specifically around here. I will just not put any product or too much product around those areas, or as you're going to see later, I like to work with my under eye creases to give myself a very good Igosal look. So just stay tuned for that, we'll get to it. There's no crazy fancy trick to blending in the concealer. I do like to let it marinate for a bit, just so that it builds up a little bit more coverage and dries down a lot nicer, so it doesn't blend around too much. I would say don't put too much concealer on, because specifically if you use a lighter colour for your concealer, it's just going to blend all over your foundation and maybe look a little bit cakey. So I just like to put a little bit in my inner corner, bring it upwards, and also just blend it slightly downwards instead of bringing it up to those creases. And also, if I need a little bit of coverage to cover up the hyperpigmentation, I'll stamp it in a very concentrated way, avoiding that smile line. Because as you can see, that's a really weird face to pull, but that will come out during the day as the makeup wears. Now you know the drill, setting spray. Yes, that is so tea. Now I'm just gonna let that layer dry. This has become my new favorite way to do my base. I just find that it lasts a lot longer, and sometimes I do get sweaty during the day, but the sweat is mainly around my top lip, and I just find it really annoying that my makeup just separates so much around that bit, and also on my eyelids. But again, I've discovered, I don't know if anyone else has discovered this trick, but I've discovered such a good trick to getting eyelid makeup to not crease as bad, because again, you can't afford crease. You cannot avoid creasing. So I figured out a way that minimizes it best, and I took a video at the end of the day, which I don't know if I can include it in this video, but I've got a video of my makeup with like 8 hours plus wear, and the eyeshadow literally hardly had any creases in it, and I was so happy with myself. And I have like a lot of eye makeup, as you're gonna see, so it was a good technique. Now I'm going in with my cheap handy dandy talc free, I like a little bit of talc in my powder, but there's a reason I like this powder, my Revolution baking powder. This is only £6, inoffensive, and it's the only powder, I've tried so many powders, only powder that is not translucent but not too dark, if that makes sense. Only problem I find with this is that it can get a little bit cakey. I like to shake a little bit onto the palm of my hand and then pick up a velour puff. Okay, walk of shame for the crusty dusty velour puff, I'm sorry. So what I like to do is I like to prepare my puff. So I like to pat the powder in, but not have like a super heavy amount of powder on top of the puff. Do you know what I mean? Because then again, you don't want to set your powder, you don't want to set your under eyes in a way that's gonna get super cakey throughout the day. It may look good at first, but then throughout the day, it's just gonna kind of collect and get all crazy under the eyes. Okay, once you've got your puff, obviously your eyes would have creased a bit, so you want to go out and take the beauty sponge and just kind of tap out those creases before you set your concealer, like so. And once you've tapped out all the creases, then you want to take that powder puff with all the powder in it and just lightly tap and set. Do you see how already we've blurred that skin? Exactly. And again, not too much on the areas with super prominent lines and creasing. And look, because you've done, you know, the little tap method and you've distributed the powder all nice over the puff, you'll get a really nice even layer of powder that won't cause your makeup to cake up and will just give you that flawlessness that you need. Look at that. It's perfect. Beautiful. No notes. No notes. Now that we have set it with powder, look how flawless we look. Look at yourself in the mirror. Flawless. Now we're going to contour. Everyone likes to contour differently, and I think everyone should be contouring differently because everyone has a different face. Okay, make sure your contour is nice and grey toned. I like this one by Vecci, but I have recommendations. Judydoll and Vecci are really good, affordable options. Unfortunately, the K-beauty and C-beauty industry is not great for darker skins, but the Kaleidos contour, which is a CB brand, it's slightly pricier, but they do an amazing range of skin tones in their contour formulas, and they go quite into deeper skin territory, so definitely give Kaleidos a little bit of love. I do actually have their contour, but I'm going to use the Vecci because it is my personal favorite and it's the most affordable. But just make sure you have a great contour with you. I prefer powder, but you can use cream, but this is going to be about powders. So when you look into a contour palette like this, you will see that there is always a bigger pan and a smaller, more grey pan. The smaller pan is for your nose, the big pan is for your face to add dimension. Now, I like to take an angled brush that's quite, I don't know, it's not too dense. I like quite a fluffy brush because I feel like I can concentrate the pigment a lot nicer and it just looks a lot more diffused. So 2 taps like that. I did 3 actually. And you want to look forward like this and see where your natural shadow occurs. And then you want to take the brush and just gently stamp using the lower side. Go in and stamp the sides of your cheek. The good thing about a decent contour is that it shouldn't be super opaque like an eyeshadow. When you swatch it, it should almost look translucent like a powder, and that's going to give you a lot more of a diffused look. That's another difference that should be pointed out. As you can see, we are creating shadow. I don't like a super harsh contour because, I don't know, I just feel like it looks a little bit gross on me. But in real time, we're tapping and adding a little bit of definition, like so. Can you see how we have none there? Can you see how we have some there? See, when you turn your face, you should see where your natural contour follows. If you make your contour too unrealistic, it won't look believable, and obviously we aren't really going for like a cosplay look. We're going more for like a dolly, cutesy look, but you want it to follow a realistic kind of structure. Now online you can find templates of contouring for your face type. I contour for a round face, and also I follow the natural dimensions and shadows of my face. That's how I like to do it. You can do it however you want, but it's up to you. Like so. I think that for us girls with rounder faces, we should really learn to embrace our rounder faces, because doing tricks that all the skinny, longer faced influencers, that's not a bad thing by the way, that is just an analysis of most face shapes that I see in influencers based on what is the desirable beauty standard. They tend to do it in ways that are desirable to their faces. They'll do their contour on what looks good for their face. Sorry, my phone died and I went to eat a slice of pizza. Back to the tutorial. My phone phone's on charge and it keeps moving. Please stop. I just want to film my tutorial. Why is it not working? Okay, now that we've done our face contour, we're gonna move on to our nose contour. I do this a certain way, you may do it a different way, but I am gonna show you how to do it for my nose if you have a similar nose to me. So I have a funny way I like to do my nose contour. I like to use two brushes, one to put the product on my nose and one to blend it. I don't know why, but for me, trying to use the same brush to blend my nose contour as like putting it down, it just puts too much on and I can't concentrate the blend and how much product I've used. So I'm going to show you what I mean. So you take the grayer, smaller nose contour, just pick a little bit of it up, and then I like to see where the tip of my nose forms a little shadow, and I like to stamp the contour onto there, like so. And then I like to go up on the sides, like that. I like to kind of create like a stencil first, and then I put it right here, and then kind of start to stamp and bring it down, like that. And I like to go in with just a little bit more, and instead of going around, I don't really like that. I feel like it looks a bit like a... ignore that. But yeah, I feel like it looks a bit weird. So I like to put a little bit of it on there, just a little bit. And then tap a little bit of it on the sides as well. And that is my contour placement. Not too much. If I need to, go back and add a little bit more on the sides of my nose. And now we're going to blend it with the fluffier, slightly denser brush. And with that, I kind of like to tap and blend. So I like to tap, 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 go around, tap, 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 go around. And this way I'm not putting more product on as I'm blending. I personally feel like a tap and blend motion is better than trying to drag it down, because I feel like that's going to disturb the base. So I like to like tap it like that and blend it that way instead. And I prefer a powder contour because a powder contour is going to be a lot more concentrated. When you put it on the nose, it's going to stay on the nose. Whereas when you do it with cream contour, it can kind of blend all over the place. That's why I kind of prefer like the stamp and blend method that I've created with powder contour. I just feel like it's a lot nicer. And obviously when you layer powders or creams and powders on top of each other, it kind of does create a lot more of a long-lasting base. So that is why I've done my nose contour this way, and that is how we are looking. Now I'm not going to spend too much time focusing on blush because I don't really use a specific technique for it, but I'm going to take this light cool tone pink shade from this Judydoll palette, and I'm going to take it on I kind of prefer like a more pointed brush or like a more round brush, and literally all I do is pretty simple. I'm not going to overcomplicate the method, but just pick it. What was that? Just pick it up and kind of stamp it. I like to put my blush on the apples of my cheeks because, again, there are different ways of doing makeup when you have a rounder face. When you try and do the same techniques as a skinnier faced person, if you put your blush on your contours all the way up here, there's a lot of empty space left on the middle of your face, and it's not going to give you that shortened mid-face look that all of the Koreans and the Chinese influencers love. So I just kind of prefer to put it halfway and kind of bring it onto the cheekbone, just to kind of blend and merge the contour and the powder blush together. Also, I just kind of like looking more youthful and dolly-like, and I feel like apples on the cheeks blush is just a lot cuter. And again, it falls more in line with the whole Douyin or K-pop makeup look. Just like that. Nothing really too complicated. Now we're going to be moving on to... the fuck is that? Now is everyone's favorite part of my eye looks. No. Now is everyone's favorite part of my tutorials, which is eye looks. This is what I specialize in. This is what I do best. And the one thing I've perfected is how to show people how to do it on a budget, and if they are beginners and cannot figure out the correct techniques. So let's get into it. So here's my game changer of a beauty tip. I get really oily eyelids. Can you see that shine? I can. So what I like to do is I like to wipe off, I'm just going to use the back of my powder puff. I like to wipe off the oils on my eyelid and then take some more of that grippy primer, just a tiny amount. Literally, it looks like a booger. And put it on my eyelid. And this is going to feel so uncomfortable, but trust me, this is just a game changer. I don't know how or why it works, but I guess it creates like a barrier between the natural oils of the eyelids and your eye makeup, and it just makes it a lot more long lasting. And as you guys know, I love a good eye base for longevity and pigment, and I like to use the Louise base. So I'm running out, so I'm having to shake it. Tiniest dot, and then just using your pinky finger. Be careful if you have nails, because I have jabbed my eye plenty of times. Just blend it. Oh my god, my belly rumbled. I need to go make a BLT. A halal BLT. And just kind of put it on your eye, and then either take the back of your beauty sponge or your finger or a sponge, does not matter, and just kind of blend it onto your eye. No joke, guys, this is the best way to make your eyeshadow last all day. And again, there will be some creasing because you are made of flesh and a bag of bones, and there is no such thing as makeup sitting perfectly on your skin. Baby, that's retouch, AI and filters. That is a lie. But yeah, as you can see, it's blended out. And now I just, because I have oily eyelids and it just irritates me, I like to go in just with a little bit of that loose powder and just set the eyelid. Again, this is just going to help with oil control and just ensuring that your makeup will last all day. Like so. And now you're ready for eye makeup, so let's get into it! So, if you are going to buy an eyeshadow palette, I recommend this one by cheeryep. This is a really good eyeshadow palette. Oh my god, it is so broken and abused. I have used the shit out of this palette. I'm gonna have to flag my content as not appropriate for YouTube kids now because I've sworn. I'm sorry. But this is a really good palette because it has everything you could ask for. A matte highlight shade, nice neutrals, a little pop of color, and it has sparkles all in one. It even has a water activated liner, which is crazy. C Beauty is so innovative. And you can tell I use this a lot because baby is absolutely shattered. So let me show you how to get a look with this palette, including highlight. That's how versatile this palette is, including highlight. Let's do it. So pick up a bordering on dense, bordering on, I don't even know what's the opposite of dense, I'm sorry. Pick up a brush like this and go in with a neutral base shade like that on a sort of flat brush, and then start by stamping it all over the lid and kind of blending it ever so slightly. This is going to be a base and transition layer for the rest of your makeup to sit on top of. Kind of stamp this eyeshadow and kind of blend it ever so slightly. You don't want to immediately go in with windshield wiper motions because that might disturb the eye base, but you can do a slight bit of buffering and blending. Like so, just very gentle. You don't need to go otherwise you're just gonna look a bit crazy. So stamp the eyeshadow and just kind of work your way up. Relax your eyes if you need to and see if you need to take the eyeshadow any higher. I like to take it higher than my crease and bring it up and wing it outside of my brow bone, like so, like that. Now take a clean brush. This one doesn't really matter. I'm using quite a angled, dense brush. And you're gonna gently start to blend the edges of your eyeshadow. This is mainly gonna be on top of the eye and just making sure that it's quite diffused. You only want this as like a transitional shade, like a sweep of color over the eye, so then you can build up things like glitters and darker shade colors on top, like that. Now you want to take a more dense small brush and pick up a darker shade within the same tone on that brush and stamp it only on the outer portion of your eye. And again, I like to bring it up slightly more onto the crease, like that and kind of create like a winged shape outwards, leaving that inner shade exposed so we can make our eyes look bigger. Then you can go back with the same brush that you used in the beginning and start to blend it and wing it outwards, bringing it slightly onto the crease just for a nice transition, and just kind of blend everything all together. That brown shade on the outer part is just going to give you a bit more dimension, and it's kind of aid us into doing our lower eye makeup later on. Now I'm going to go back in with that same brown eyeshadow on a very small brush. Now, if you struggle to find good small brushes, I would honestly recommend picking up a packet of nail art brushes on Amazon. There's like a pack of 12 on there for, what's it, £4. You get like 3-day delivery if you get it delivered to a locker. And yeah, I'm taking this small one, doesn't really matter. And I'm going to kind of relax my eye and then lift it and kind of trace out this new crease shape. We're going to extend our crease outwards and create like a little contour effect. Can you see that? We are essentially creating an extended crease. See how my natural crease ends here? We are going to use our eye to our advantage and map out, do you see that? A brand new crease. And you may be thinking, Aubrey, where is this going? But if you may only be saying that if you're new here, because if you weren't new here, you would know that this is how we roll, and this is going to look amazing in the final cut, so be patient. What are you doing? Now, before we move on to eyeliner, you can go in with any glitter you want. You can go in with that nice pink, you can go in with that nice icy white. I'm going to go in with a champagne. I'm going to take some of that champagne glitter on my finger. Picking it up on your finger is a lot better because it retains the oil and the moisture that you will need. And literally just tap it like so onto your eye. Look at that. An eye look with one palette. Wasn't that super easy? Wasn't that just like the easiest thing you've ever had to do? And it's one of those like really nice baseless things, so you just get that really nice hint of champagne glitter on your eye. And now I'm going to show you how to do eyeliner and a little tip and trick. Now, there is an eyeliner in that palette, but I do prefer to use my pen liners. So ladies, get closer because we're going to do this together. Now, I have a very specific way of doing eyeliner because I like to make sure that it works for my eye shape. As you can see, the crease ends here and my eyelid is droopy. We are somehow going to make our eyeliner look really good, okay? But again, this crease right here is actually the main problem. People usually think that their eyeliner is bad because of their eye shape, but it's actually more due to their crease. The crease, obviously, if you draw your eyeliner straight across like that, the crease, when you eventually relax your eyes, it's going to make your eyeliner flick up like that and look really awkward. So what I like to do instead is, instead of immediately going out and drawing the wing like that, I like to begin by going in the middle of my eye and using a stamping motion and following my eye downwards. As you can see, this is really easy. Why is it not focusing? Let me touch the mirror and get up close. Can you see that? Hold it at this kind of angle and just go in and begin stamping downwards, making sure you avoid that crease. For now, we're just aiming to give our eye a bit of definition and kind of give ourselves like a base, a canvas for us to draw our flick. Just bring it down, quite far down, almost like you're about to create a puppy wing. And as you can see, we have officially drawn the base for our eyeliner. Now, avoiding that crease, you want to start to create your shape. I like my eyeliner quite downturned, but with a little bit of a high flick. Like so. Eyeliner is definitely a practiced art. Do not worry if you are not good at it first time around. It is practice and working with your eye shape that is going to get you the best eyeliner possible. Now, because my eyes are quite droopy, I like to round my eyeliner out a little bit and then flick it like so. And as you can see, that crease is not going to interfere with the eyeliner. We have successfully drawn eyeliner and evaded that annoying crease that always seems to mess up our eye makeup. And look at that, a beautiful puppy wing. I prefer to do puppy liner. I think it's a lot cuter, and because it's lower onto the eye, you can easily do your Igosal makeup next. Now we're gonna do Igosal. Everyone always asks me about Igosal. I'm so excited to show you how to do it. The walls are very thin in this house, I apologize. So if you don't know what Igosal is basically just the Korean term for the pocket of under eye fat that everyone has under their eyes. I'm just gonna go ahead and dust away some of this fallout because it is irritating me. A lot of people don't know how to do it and will immediately, oh, my nose is running, I'm gonna go wipe that. The one mistake I see everyone make with trying to do Igosal is that they immediately go in with their brush and join their Igosal. You need to layer your makeup, otherwise it won't look good. Trust me, because my makeup used to look like that too. So, going back in with those same colours that we used earlier and the same brushes, you want to grab that shade that you used to give yourself a transition base and do the exact same thing on the bottom of your eye. Like so. Okay? That easy. Now, you want to take that same brown and that same little brush and you want to start by going underneath your eye and giving yourself a little tight line. Now, take little bits of that brown eyeshadow and kind of shimmy it under your waterline. Because these brushes are so concentrated and small, you will be able to get that perfect detail. However, if you are struggling, just give your brush a little spritz with some setting spray after putting the eyeshadow on, and it should almost work like an eyeliner. So you want to keep wiggling, stamping and wiggling, and eventually, instead of following the natural under eye line, you want to kind of bring it outwards and blend it upwards into that eyeliner. Now, if you want, you can go in with your eyeliner and give yourself a little bit of a guide, like so, bringing it upwards. And then you can put the eyeshadow on top and kind of blend it outwards. There is a lot of fallout, but you know what? We'll be fine. We will live, gang. Like that. Can you see how already we've extended out our eyes and made it look much bigger? It's kind of created this kind of, why did I say that twice? This obtuse triangle shape. And now we have a base ready for our Igosal makeup. Now, I like to make my Igosal quite pinky, so I'm going to go back in with that transition shade on that same brush and add a little bit of dimension to my Igosal. Now, as you can see, let's get a zoom in on that. Can you see how my under eye makeup is already separated? It is normal, but you know what we're going to do? We're going to use it as a base for our eye makeup. So what you want to do is you want to puff up your eyes like this and kind of see where it naturally hits, and use that little bit of unwanted crease and add that little base shape there. Go in with a bit more, keep your eyes squinted, and just start to blend and bring it outwards. I don't like to start my Igosal up too high. I like to start it about here and then bring it outwards. And as you can see already, we are looking so good. I'm gonna just keep blending it out like that. And already we have an Igosal. I don't know how long that took us, I'm not looking at the time, but I don't think it took us very long. Now back in with that same brush, it's all about layering. Back in with that dark brown. We've only used about, I'd say 3 colors for this look, and you want to only put that in the middle as a way of defining the center of the Igosal, like that. With the same brush, no changing it, we'll keep this very easy and simple for our beginner makeup lovers. I'm just going to go out and blend that little weird bit in the end. Boom. Igosal. Thank me later. Now, I like to add a bit of dimension to my Igosal and my inner corner with some matte highlighter, but this white shade by Cheeryep, as you can see I've hit pan on it, is so bright it'll work just as fine. So I'm taking it on a really small, flat nail art brush, and starting in the inner corner and adding in, that brightness gets me every time, just adding in some of that brightness and bringing it up and almost creating a C shape with it. You see that? That's gonna brighten and open up our eyes. As you can see, our crease ends here, but we've added A, this outer bit, and B, this white bit, to kind of open up and extend our eyes. That's gonna make it a lot more big and dolly-like, and you wanna bring it into your tear duct as well. I'm doing this all in one scene with no cuts, just so you guys can see that I'm for real. I'm for real about my techniques, I never lie. And then just on the beginning part of the Igosal, what the heck? You want to kind of create a bit of space between that little line and the Igosal itself. And it's just going to brighten and bring more attention to it, like so. Magnificent. East Asian beauty techniques are out of this world, truly. Dust off any excess, and boom, that is the eye makeup done. Now we're going to put on some mascara and some lashes, and I'm going to show you how to do those. Take any mascara, does not matter, and just do a light layer on your top lashes, not too much, because when you put too much top lash mascara on, it can kind of I'm losing all my words. As soon as I start filming a video, I start fumbling my words. It will mess up how your lashes look. It'll distort the look of your lashes. So you want to just do a very light layer. And then when it comes to your bottom lashes, stop applying mascara just where this outer part extends. Otherwise, you're going to put mascara here and it's going to kind of erase all of the shadowing work that you've done there. So take your mascara wand, and I just kind of like to stamp the product on instead of kind of force myself to rely on lengthening the lashes. This just kind of gives them that stubby dolly look. You can even turn it around this way and just stamp the product on. This gives you thick, voluminous, chubby little doll lashes. Easy. Something I do really recommend for beginners is self-adhesive lashes. The makeup game is truly so innovative these days. So I have these self-adhesive lashes from Sigo contacts. I also do some amazing contact lenses. I have this kind of spiky pair, this kind of small Korean idol style, and also these quite voluminous ones, and they all come with their own pair of tweezers. I think today I'm going to go for this style. I kind of want more of a fluffy lash, but you can go with any lash style that you want. So the trick to doing lashes is to look down like this into a mirror, and as you can see where your lashes and your waterline ends. You want to make sure that you're sticking your lashes on the root of your lash rather than in the waterline, because A, that will be uncomfortable, and B, the waterline is watery, it's wet, it's going to slip around the lashes and they won't stay all day. So again, you want to look down, take your lash on the top. Do not put the tweezers near the adhesive because that's obviously going to make it really difficult. Take your tweezers like that, look down, and then lift the lash, and it's stuck down. It's so easy. And if you need to, you can go back in and stamp. Oh, let go of my leg. Oh my god, I just took it off. I accidentally touched the adhesive. That's so annoying. Okay, maybe don't do that. There we go. Let's leave it at that. Let's leave it there so I don't embarrass myself. So far I have applied 3 clusters, but here is a trick I like to do as someone who has droopy eyes. I do not like to follow the droop of my eyes because I want my eyes to be quite lifted to kind of follow along with that fake crease that we've done. So what I like to do is I like to pick up my lash, and by the way, this does work with clusters, this works with strips, you just position them a bit differently. You take a cluster, and instead of putting it underneath the eye and following the droopiness, I like to go back on top of the eye and stick the lash on top of my mascara. And yes, this does adhere to the skin just as well as it does to your lash root. Just with a little bit of pinching and maneuvering, it's going to continue onto the eyeliner instead of following your droopy eye, and it makes you look a lot more lifted and cat eye like. And again, do it on camera. Just pick it up with the tweezers, stamp it on top of the eyeliner. That's gone a little bit too far out. There we go, like that. You can even use the flat lower end of the tweezer to kind of push and arrange the lashes together, like so, instead of squeezing them together with the tweezer itself. This is a lot better. Kind of shimmy it about, just kind of messing around with it until I like how it looks. And look at that. That was so simple and quick. I love it. And this is great for beginners because, like I said, if you struggle doing lashes, this is going to be a game changer. Now, one last thing I like to do is I like to take whatever's left on that little brush and give a slight carving out of this little matte inner corner that we did. Just a little bit, and then go back in with an extra little brush and just gently give it a little bit of tapping. I don't like to put a crap ton of contour here and make that C shape. I prefer to outline my matte white highlighter instead. Just because I feel like if I add too much contour to this area, it's going to make my nose look really wide at the top. I'm guessing it's dinner time for the kids. My mum has my sister's friend round today, and I can't be bothered to edit that out because I don't have that level of expertise, so you're going to have to ignore that. I have no shame. This is my household. You are in my house. Act like it. Now I'm gonna go back in and add a little bit of matte highlighter to the tip of my nose. That's not enough. What are we doing? You can either use a shimmery highlighter or a matte highlighter. It's up to you. I'm using a matte highlighter today. Now the last step is to show you how I transform my lips. Now, I like to go in with something called a lip contour instead of a lip liner because it has more of a grey tone. This is the Douyin dual play liner. It's a multi-use product, but I like to use it for lip lining. Now, I like to go underneath my lips and kind of trace out how I want to contour my lips first. Like that. And I like to use my finger just to blend it out so it doesn't look so harsh. We don't want like a classic lip liner, we want to contour our lips and give them a lot more of a refined nude structure. Like that. Can you see how it's created more of a shadow rather than an under or over line? Now you want to go on top. I like to contour the top of my lip like that and kind of go onto my fill trim to shorten it. And then kind of go in like that and create a line going downwards. Pointed, so I'm gonna just blend it like that. And already we've got a nice pout going. Now I like to take a lip matte cream and apply it all over like that. You can use any nude lipstick. I prefer the formulas of a Korean or Chinese lip product because they blur the lip lines more instead of getting dry and crusty. Make sure this is a nudish colour. You want to kind of create like a base for yourself before you go in with your center lip colour, which makes your lips look a lot more animated. Now you can either go in with another matte product or a glossy product and go in the center of your lips only to create that classic gradient look. And start small. You can always add more product, but you find it difficult to remove product. And then kind of pout and press your lips together, or you can use your finger, which is usually what I prefer to do, and blend. As you can see, we have a pouty, perfect gradient lip. And you can always go back and add more in, like I said, if you're not satisfied and you want it slightly more opaque. Oh my god, my belly's really rumbling now, guys. And there we are. How cute. I'm gonna go and do the rest of my makeup off camera, but for now we are finished. And look at the difference one side of our face has compared to this side of our face. I'm gonna go off camera, do the rest of my makeup, and be back. And let's see how the finished look looks. So this is how the look turned out. So cute, so simple. I know how long this video was, but I really wanted to make sure that this was an in-depth video for beginners. So I hope you enjoyed it. Everything is in the description, but please do not feel like you have to buy anything, just have good makeup. And yeah, thank you for watching, like and subscribe.